This week, we're going to continue looking at the PA Driver's Manual on nonfiction reading. Last week and the week before, we focused on how to take a test or a quiz and how to make sure we're selecting the most appropriate answers while working on tests and quizzes. Now, what we're going to do is go back and learn new strategies for reading. Remember, previously we really talked about reading slowly and we practiced how to read slowly. Reading is not a race. Remember that. But now what I want to do is really look at new strategies to help you improve your reading, especially with nonfiction. One of the strategies we're going to practice today is writing self-made questions to the text on a piece of paper to check for your own understanding. Remember, before this video, I said either have a Word document opened or have a piece of paper handy that you can write things down on today. You will need them to answer questions. If you need to go get something or open a Word document, hit pause now. Example of a question. What can someone write to help them remember the text they read? A question. Look at how I changed the above sentence into a question. What can someone write to help them remember what they read? A question. We're also going to look at how to write a short summary of what you've read. Summaries can be very beneficial when we read a larger amount of text. We will practice that today too. So how do we form a question? I know that sounds silly, but what we're really going to look at today is we're going to put our teacher hats on, and all of you are going to become teachers. Many of you might even smile when I say you've been asking to help the teacher. Here is your first practice session. As you read the text, think about what you could be quizzed on. Pretend you're going to be making a quiz for your peers, and that's how you're going to be getting a really good question to help you remember what you've read. As you think about the information, you flip it into a question. So here's an example. I'm going to read this and I want you to start thinking about what kind of questions you could form. Your teacher has three children and three dogs. The dogs are named Bernard, Einstein, and Rocky. Her children are named Tristan, Hunter, and Annika. There are so many questions you could write, but here are some examples. How many children does the teacher have? What are the children's names? Probably as I was reading those questions, your brain immediately went three. For how many? You didn't have to look at the passage above. The names might have been more difficult, but again, if you would have written that question, you would have forced yourself to go back and probably have known your own answer. And that's how your brain really starts to remember what you've read earlier. These questions will then provoke you to remember the passage. It really forces you to really look at the passage in a different light. Now, what I want you to think about in the above sentence, what do you think the word provoke means? These questions will then provoke you to remember the passage. After looking at the question you just had in the Zaption video, the word provoke there might mean to force you, or to force you to recall something. It's provoking you. It's forcing you to do something. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice writing two questions to help you remember what is written in this passage. In this first passage, I'm going to read this to you. So get ready to write some excellent questions. Keep a space cushion ahead, and this is called the 4-second rule. What is a safe following distance? A 4-second following distance, as shown above in Area 1 of the space management diagram, will allow you to steer or brake to avoid a hazard safely on the highway if the pavement is dry. If you are following too closely and the vehicle ahead of you stops or slows suddenly, you will not be able to avoid a crash. Keeping a safe following distance will enable you to react to a problem ahead without the need for a panic stop, which could cause a following driver to crash into the back of your vehicle. To determine your following distance, watch the rear bumper of your vehicle ahead of you. When the bumper passes a road marker or a roadside object like a telephone pole, start counting how many seconds it takes you to reach the same spot on the road. If you pass the marking or object in less than 4 seconds, you are following too closely. You can pause the video now to write your two questions and while still looking at the text in order to place them into the Zaption video. Writing questions about passages continued. Now that you just wrote your question, see if you can answer the following ones in your head. How many seconds is a safe following distance? Did you guess it? 4. 4 seconds. Did your question that you wrote previously help you answer this? How about what is a problem with following too close? You could cause an accident. Remember, one of the things that we talked about in previous lessons were that people were scared to drive at times. We don't want anyone to be scared to drive. We want confident, safe drivers. By following this 4 second rule, you'll be sure to help prevent accidents in the future. Now, part two. You are going to read the next slide on your own. I will not read it out loud, and you are going to try to form 2 questions on your own again. Be prepared to hit pause in the Zaption video. Again, here is what you will be reading on your own. Please remember to write 2 questions to help you remember the text. Hit play when you are ready to go to the quiz section on this block of reading. After writing all those questions, I'm sure you're ready to take a break. We're only going to really focus on one more thing today before coming back into Blackboard, and we're going to look at what a summary is. So what do you think a summary is? Look at the right-hand pictorial on the page. A summary is a passage that you write in your own words that is much shorter than the passage you read. Granted, we're only reading paragraph sections right now, but what about in your other classes where this can really apply, or a job where you would have to read a manual and take a quiz? You may be reading pages of material. Summaries can be extremely beneficial, and I use them all the time. By writing it in your own words, it forces you to understand what you've read. By placing it into your own language, your language doesn't have to sound perfectly written. It doesn't have to be a beautiful sentence. They can be fragments, they could be run-ons. It doesn't matter. What it does is it forces you to have control of your own reading, which is what we really want. So we're going to do a practice summary together. This is important, especially since we live in an area that we get snow. Under law, which went into effect July 10th, 2006, motorists will face severe fines if snow or ice that falls from their vehicle causes injury or death to other motorists or pedestrians. When snow or ice is dislodged or falls from a moving vehicle and strikes another vehicle or pedestrian, causing death or serious bodily injury, the operator of the vehicle from which the snow or ice came is subject to a fine of $200 to $1,000 for each offense. PennDOT urges motorists to remove all ice and snow from their vehicles before traveling. I'm going to take a break and ask you to look at the second sentence in this paragraph before we do a summary. What do you think the word dislodged means? When snow or ice is dislodged or falls from a moving vehicle. Again, what do you think the word dislodged most nearly means? Hopefully you guessed it. It means most nearly to come off or to fall off. Now let's look at a summary. A summary is much shorter. Look at this one sentence. If you don't clean off your car and snow or ice comes off while driving and injures someone, you can get in trouble. Again, those are my words. Your summary would be 100% different because you didn't use my exact words. Everybody's minds will pick up on different aspects of a paragraph, and that is okay. Again, all the summary does is forces you to slow down and really look at the passage. Now I'm going to read a passage to you. Please have a Word document up to write a summary or write one on a piece of paper. After you are done, continue the lesson and place it into the Zaption answers for me to read. Wet pavements. All roads are slippery when wet, but be extra careful on roads posted with warning signs that say slippery when wet. Pavements can become very slippery in the first 10 to 15 minutes of a rainstorm. The rain causes oil in the asphalt to come to the surface. This problem becomes even worse during hot weather when the heat combined with the water causes more oil to rise to the road surface. In cold, wet weather, be extra careful driving on sections of road shaded by trees or buildings. These areas freeze more quickly and dry last. At this time, please pause and write a summary. So, summaries. They're a great way to show that you understand the text. They're for your benefit. You will do so much better in your independent reading, even if it's just for pleasure, if you write summaries. Summarize, Summaries are great for a large amount of text. Like I said, if you're looking to get through that next science test or that review, summaries are awesome. All right. They are always shorter than the original. They can include only the main points. They're objective in nature. You don't always need to include an in-text reference, but for you people in English class, that's a smart move too. And most important, it's your own words. You don't need to be concerned about how anybody else might read your summary. That's the best part. So the PA Driver's Manual continued. In class, we're going to review some of the driving lessons from today, and we're also going to learn some new information to make sure that we all pass our permit tests. See you soon.